Good morning, everyone. My name is Miranda Driver. I'm with CalAgJobs. We are an agricultural recruiting and job posting website. Today, I'm here with Brittany Fagundes, who is a senior relationships manager with California Olive Ranch. Good
Hi,
morning.
Miranda. Thanks
Hi.
for having me.
Yes, thanks for being here. So today we're going to it's the first in a series that we're starting, and we're just calling it a career spotlight. And we're going to connect with agricultural professionals throughout the state of California and just, talk to people about their careers and how they got here. And so today we're starting with Brittany. So, Brittany, could you share a little bit with our audience about you and your company?
Yeah, thanks, Miranda. Thank you for the opportunity. I just want to say that we use CalAgJobs when we're looking for our internships. So you've been a great resource. And whenever people ask me for where to find employees, because it's so hard in ag, I always direct them to your website. So thank you for your service. It's easy to support. I am a senior grower relationship manager at California Olive Ranch. We are a full service farm to table, essentially, olive company. We are the largest grower, processor, and buyer of California olives in the United States. We have the #1 California brand of extra virgin olive oil, and we are currently the #3 brand nationwide. And when you think about that in terms of size, we're only in 30% of households. So it's kind of neat to see that the growth potential that we have. And the company is only 25 years old. So how far we've come in a short 25 years.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So I contract with growers for their crops, and I coordinate harvest, which is super fun. We run the mill 24/7 for 45 to 60 days from mid-October till mid-December. And we have loads coming in. Growers are harvesting 24/7 around the clock. And so there's a lot of action happening. My phone rings off the hook, but I love it. I started out in processing tomatoes, and things were a lot faster there. I did the exact same thing, essentially a field rep where I worked with growers, contracted for their tomatoes. Fell in love with that and working out in the fields. And it just kind of, through life circumstances, led me to California Olive Ranch. And it's fun to be at the bottom or at the beginning of a brand new industry that's kind of new to California. So I've really enjoyed the learning that comes along with it.
So you kind of answered my next question a little bit, which was, what led you to this role? And you talked a little bit about your processing, working with processing tomatoes. But could you also maybe share a little bit more about, your personal background, maybe some of like your education? I always find that really interesting because sometimes people have deep roots in ag and other times people are brand new. So.
Sure. So I grew up on a small family farm in Hanford, California. My dad and his family grew kiwi, had a packing shed, cold storage, and a dairy, and turkey houses that are now duck houses. Along the way, they converted one of the cold storage rooms to a cheese making room. And so we started making artisan cheese, which was super fun. I came home one day from high school and Dad was making cheese on the stove, mozzarella cheese. And I was like, Dad, what are you doing? He said, this is our new thing. This is what we're going to do. And lo and behold, I went to Cal Poly as a dairy science major on the processing side to work in a processing plant. But lo and behold, I hated being inside a plant. There's no windows. You're wearing incredible amounts of, PPE. And it was not a career path for me. So then, being a farmer's daughter, I always saw people would come and just, throw contracts in my family's face and say, here's what you're getting. And I didn't like that. I wanted to be a field rep, but I wanted to be a different kind of field rep, more on the grower side. So I kind of fell into the job in processing tomatoes. And like I said, it was a great fit. I loved it. I loved, traveling up and down the state every day, being in a different town every day, not behind a desk. So from there, I worked for 2 different processing tomato companies until I met my husband, and he lived up north. And I'd known the manager at California Olive Ranch for a little while, and he had said, hey, if you ever decide to get serious with your boyfriend, we would have a position for you. So I mentioned it to my boyfriend, who's now my husband, and worked for California Olive Ranch for the last 8 years. This will be my 9th harvest.
Nice. That's an interesting story. I had no idea about like the ducks, and I knew you guys did cheese and the
Yeah.
kiwi and the dairy, but no idea about the duck houses.
Yeah.
So if you had any advice for someone like new in their career who might be, a new field rep,
Mhm.
or do grower relations, like obviously you've done that for a long time and you've moved up the ladder and promoted in those roles. Do you have any advice for someone who's new in their career, and how to be a successful grower relationship manager?
Yeah. So one of the things I did when I was first starting out in processing tomatoes, I said, "Hey, listen, my family grows tree crops and dairy. I know nothing about row crops." So I did everything I could. I would ask the growers that I was contracting with if I could ride along to see everything else that they were growing. I would ask to meet with their PCAs so I could walk the fields with their PCAs so I could see what they were seeing. Just trying to, cultivate my knowledge base to understand all these things that I had no idea about. So meeting with the different PCAs, growers, looking at different things in there that they were growing, and then the seed salesman, always trying to work with the seed salesman to see like, hey, these are what we're seeing up and coming varieties. This is a field that you should look at because maybe you're interested in this variety. And then the other thing was I tried to go through and work every job that I could at the company that I was with, so I could see how every aspect of it pertained to what I was doing.
Hmm.
Just trying to gain the knowledge and see every little piece is like a puzzle. And so how the whole puzzle fits together to make it a better process.
When you say you tried to work in all of the roles, do you mean like ride along or like work, work side
No,
by
no. In the
side?
lab, I went and spent an entire day in the lab and tried to
Okay.
learn how they were doing all of the grading. The tomatoes, there's a grading station. So I spent an entire day in the grading station figuring out and actually doing the job of sorting the tomatoes. And then in olives, we work in a lab. And so I spent a day in the lab trying to figure out how they're running all of it's NIR data, so near infrared technology they're using. So figuring out how they're doing that, sorting out trash, just every single step along the line, because it all pertains back to the field. So helping however I could.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I think that's really good advice to, um, tell people to take a really holistic approach to the commodity and the process.
Exactly. So a lot of people don't, they just focus so much on their one spot in the supply chain, but really understanding how every piece of the supply chain matters.
Yeah, I'm sure that's really served you well in your career and helped you promote up. I think that's all we have for you today. I appreciate your time and, giving us a small snapshot of what your job is and what a grower relationship manager does and learning a little bit about California Olive Ranch. Is there any final thoughts you would like to share with us?
We will have quality control internships opening up soon for field scouts, and I think an agronomist internship opening up too. If anyone's listening that wants to apply, we need them from Chico all the way down to Fresno.
Okay, awesome. And most likely CalAgJobs will also be posting all of those roles. So if everyone watching is interested in that, stay tuned on our website. And then I just wanted to share with viewers, if there's any like specific roles that you want to see or job types that you want us to do these little interviews on, feel free to either DM us or share in the comments what you'd like to see, and we're happy to try and accommodate some of those. And then next week we're going to be catching up with Michaela Pell, who is a senior credit analyst with CoBank. So if that's a job you might be interested in, stay tuned for that. And with that, Brittany, I thank you for your time, and I'll let you go about your business. And we'll touch base later.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Have a good one.
You too.